Jane, if you can hear me, good afternoon to you again. Position yourself, and what have you been able to see?
I'm right next to the camera, Jeremy, because obviously that picture's a lot more exciting than me looking back at you. And I wanted to talk you through it because actually it's been pretty emotional. You know, there's been so much skepticism about this visit from some people. And watching these children, firstly, the children that we see here today, many of them have been affected by the violence, the poverty, the substance abuse in this community in Nyanga, one of the most dangerous places on the planet. And whatever you think about the royals, when they walked to that table that you see in front of me and started talking to those children, you could just see the joy in their faces. You know, it might not mean a lot for many people, but actually these kids who have very little, having some of the most famous people in the world, talking to them and listening to them and hearing their stories, I should imagine will be life-changing. And what makes this couple, the royal couple, so special is that they don't rush through things. You know, it's not like going to look at the Mona Lisa with crowds and just passing through and ticking that box. They really get down on their knees, they make eye contact with the kids, and they hear their stories. I gather that this is also very important for Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. She really wants to position herself as somebody who is involved with this sort of project, empowering women and children in order for them to pull themselves out of this poverty and to have a better future. They have been talking to the founder and the community leader as well, Jeremy, and I believe they're making their way to the back where both of them are expected to make a address any second now.
Absolutely critical, Jane, of course. You mentioned why this initiative is important to the Duchess. She's also slated, I understand, over the next couple of days to meet with female leaders, to meet with academics. She is also patron of the Association of Commonwealth Universities. But also important, there's a bigger aspect to all of this, isn't there? And that is to raise awareness of the positive partnership with the United Kingdom. And if I'm not mistaken, early next year is the UK-Africa Investment Summit. And this is important because there's a business side to all of this as well. The royal family in that respect certainly pays its way.
Oh, amazing. I mean, you know, obviously this is a photo opportunity, and people do this sort of thing to raise awareness for concerns and always the economic knock-on effect. Jeremy, it is our most important partnership. It's the second largest business trader, you know, the UK and South Africa, bringing in billions every year. 400,000 Brits visit South Africa every single year. There are something like 200,000 British people living here. So it's a very important relationship, and I know we've gone through difficult times, but that possibly makes us stronger. And as we go through this very awkward period where we realize that there's a force holding Cyril Ramaphosa from governing, and the UK is facing Brexit woes. For both, if they can crack this relationship and make it work, it's benefiting both on all sides. And yes, they're going to be trying to put themselves in a position of having leverage both sides before that summit next year.
All right, Jane, I know that you're positioned outside, but we've now switched to pictures of them moving inside the community hall. Just remind us again what the exact purpose of this particular engagement is. This is engagement one of a number that they will be embarking upon over the next couple of days. But what's the plan now that they're inside?
All right, so this is a Justice Desk initiative, and it is an initiative that has been recognized for its human rights contribution. It is in Nyanga. There's several of these initiatives, but this main one is in Nyanga, one of the most dangerous places on the planet. I mean, just really suffocated under crime and violence. So this initiative aims to help children, girl children, to empower themselves, learn tools in order for them not to become victims of the horrendous crime and gender-based violence that we see here. And for Harry and Meghan to be coming here is quite a statement for them. I think really laying down on their first official visit what sort of people they are, what they stand for. And, you know, Harry loves Africa. He's called it his second home. And it's made it pretty clear by them coming here that this is something that they hope will continue throughout his reign in his position at the moment. After this, they're going to be hopping in a car and going over to District 6, another important statement. And Jeremy, I just want to go back very quickly to what's important about this, is that it's something that many South Africans have never heard of. So by them coming here, it highlights it for the international community as well as us in South Africa. And if we can get involved and help by giving money and donations where necessary, obviously that'll be a bonus. Then they're going to be going to the District 6 Museum, and that was an area really affected by the brutality of apartheid. Something like 60,000 people were pushed out of their homes. Many of them left, if they were lucky, with a suitcase. They're going to be meeting some of the people, some of the families affected by this movement. And a lot of what happened in District 6 has led to what we're seeing in the Cape Flats at the moment, the sort of the poverty that's happening there. They're going to be meeting with the community leaders, walking around, chatting, and seeing that beautiful museum.
Jane, you're not possibly seeing the pictures inside, but you can certainly talk to them. And the one thing that is really very noticeable is the studied informality of this couple. And I remember when Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were here a good 19, 20 years ago, covering that particular tour. It was so much more rigid, it was so much more organized, as opposed to two younger people who are really comfortable about wading in and having deep, long and meaningful conversations. I suppose this is emblematic in many ways of the new type of royalty that exists.
I mean, two things that struck me when they walked in was how warm they were to the children and how they really take an interest in what people are saying, and how demonstrative they were, Jeremy. I mean, they can't keep their hands off each other, which is obviously an indication of how they feel about each other, but also the fact that they are a lot more relaxed. And I was thinking that Donald Trump could possibly take a tip, because they are the complete opposite, aren't they? Can't even stand anywhere near each other. But I think it's also very important for the royal family. It's been questioned in the UK as well. It costs a lot, like our royal family, but we're not getting anything back from our South African royal families. But the fact that they've had to move with the times has been incredibly important. And not only that, I mean, she's a mixed race woman, which made people sort of question so many things in the UK, and that's also pushed them forward a lot, knowing that they actually have to get their heads around this. And look, it is working.
Jane, it was all going so well, then you had to bring Donald Trump into the conversation, didn't you? But nonetheless, let's move on. I'm not seeing much entourage or security here. What did it look like when the couple arrived?
Well, I was very surprised because we parked just down the road. Hold on, I'm being moved by all four, so I'm going to try and find myself in a place where I'm not standing in front of somebody else's camera. There was basically no security where we parked, and then very little as we walked in. So, I mean, what you see is really what is here, but I should imagine, knowing the royal family and considering that Nyanga is one of the most dangerous places on the planet, that there are security forces everywhere.
Do they get any downtime? What happens after District 6? Are they actually able to relax and have a shower?
Well, I would hope so, because their flight was horribly delayed, so I'm not even sure they were able to have a shower. Yes, there is a gap in between, and I should imagine, knowing how slick they are and the PR machine, that they're going to be updated on who they're going to be meeting, what sort of questions they need to ask, and be reminded of what actually happened in the District 6 area. I mean, tomorrow, very early in the morning, we go to a beach, and there's another concern there that deals with issues surrounding, again, children that have been affected by violence, the mental issues, and linked to that is another charity that donates food to children around the country. Something like 60,000 children are affected by that. So they really are, excuse the cliche, hitting the ground running here. And if they do have any downtime, Jeremy, we don't know anything about it. But I hasten to add, and I'm not surprised considering how dangerous it is here, Archie is nowhere to be seen.
Jane, again, you're not seeing this possibly unless you've got a monitor with you. I don't think that you do, but Prince Harry also very keen to help organize things. So they're posing at the moment inside the room for a circular group shot, and with a great deal of enthusiasm and alacrity, he was more than happy to help move a cloth so everyone could sit on it. I mean, the man really gets involved, doesn't he?
He really does. And you know, I guess if you're going to do it properly, right? I mean, you mentioned his parents and his grandparents and that sort of formality, which made it very hard for anybody really to be open about their situation. I think everyone was sort of quaking with fear. Here, I mean, I spoke to the High Commissioner yesterday and I said, what should we know? What should we do and what shouldn't we do? And he said, look, they are very relaxed and everyone needs to be relaxed. I mean, all we know that really, you know, he upset people when Prince Harry, when he closed his own car door. But I should imagine that sort of formality will be missing here.
Jane Dutton, just reflect on that conversation very quickly with the High Commissioner and maybe just explain to the Channel's viewers again how important Buckingham Palace is viewing this particular trip.
Oh, incredibly important. As he kept on saying, this really is a sort of recalibration, a refocus of the relationship between South Africa and the UK. And I think it's got a lot warmer. I don't think it has got a lot warmer under Cyril Ramaphosa. I met with the High Commissioner some months back, and he was just saying that this is a man that they know in the UK. He's been on so many boards, so they understand his business sense, his business acumen. And if this is an opportunity for them to push that forward, they certainly will. It's very important for the UK going through the throes of Brexit, where they are desperately seeking friends. And at this stage, it seems they've got the Middle East and us. But if they can get through this and strengthen those ties, then it's good for all of us. Because, as you know, if there is a no deal, then every single tie with the UK has to be renegotiated. The message, though, coming from the UK is that the deals, it's sacrosanct, they will not be touched, they don't need to be renegotiated. So Buckingham Palace, you know, needs us. They've, you know, don't have a good relationship with Boris Johnson, who's pushing the agenda to walk away at this stage with a no-deal Brexit. And, of course, any of that could change at any stage because that's a drama that just keeps giving.
There's a very happy and optimistic tone with this particular visit, but Jan, you'll draw a contrast for me a little later on when they visit that District 6 museum. It's a poignant reminder of a fractured past in this country, and the tone, the mood, the atmosphere there, I think, will be a lot more somber and no doubt a lot more reflective.
You know, there's very little to celebrate when it comes to District 6. I mean, this was a community that was struggling in the apartheid years, but that was just destroyed by the apartheid government. It was seen as a threat to them. They considered it an eyesore. It was right in the centre of Cape Town. So they pushed them out, many of them, to the Cape Flats, and they left with absolutely nothing. They were functioning families. There was a real cultural hotspot in Cape Town, and many of them have been moved to the Cape Flats. They were pushed into poverty. They were pushed into areas that are tiny, tiny areas. And we know what's happening now in the Cape Flats. It really is a community that has been forgotten. They'll be meeting people who experience this hardship. There are many groups working in that area to try and get these people together, to try and unify them one way or another. And that's why that museum is so incredibly important. It's a very emotional, visual reminder of what happened. Parts of the museum, you'll see a shoe that was left behind, a key, a dummy, and, you know, a little baby sock, and all of these things that were left as everyone sort of dashed away. And who knows what's going to happen when it comes to District 6. You know, it really highlights the fact that when it comes to getting our land, property rights back on track, we haven't got very far.
All right, Jane Dutton, thank you very much indeed. Our live coverage of the royal visit, day one